This week seems to be flying by. It's Thursday, almost Friday already. I hope this finds you faring well. Our week has been, well, every week's been hectic, we know that. But it's been interesting. There has definitely been a loosening up within our real estate markets. We're just seeing that everything's breathing a little bit better. A couple more listings are starting to come on. More showings, and I've had a couple clients ask me what I think it is. I do think that there is, I think it's two things. Number one, I think some people are just kind of running out of time, those that have very specific timelines. But I also think that people are just getting a little bit more comfortable in the new norm, and we're just learning how to do it a little bit better. So with us doing it better, the protocol being better, people are feeling more comfortable doing it, and we're just seeing that that's starting to all just move a little bit more in a positive direction, which is great to see. That's not what I want to talk about tonight, though. What I want to talk about tonight is a little bit of a warning. Tomorrow, the April unemployment numbers are going to come out. I know I've talked about it before, and I will talk about it again. The media is going to have some pretty ugly things to say about this. And so I figured I would just get ahead of it a little bit, give you a little bit of the insight on kind of what we're seeing and what we're expecting, and some reminders on what we've talked about before. The unemployment is expected to be somewhere between 15 to 20%. Astronomical numbers, absolutely huge. And with those types of numbers comes a lot of the fear in the media that we've talked about before. So I would absolutely expect to, if you haven't already, I've already seen a few kind of starting to trickle through in projections of, but we're going to see a lot of nasty headlines tomorrow and in the coming days just about how terrible the unemployment situation is. And absolutely, it is very much a terrible situation. What I wanted to talk about tonight was some of the, I don't know if I'd say positives about it, but some of the things that we need to remember. First and foremost, and we talked about it before, is that our economy has essentially been put on pause. Somebody hit the pause button. And because of that, there's been strategies put into place by companies to try and maybe react differently than we've done in crisis situations in the past that didn't fare so well. If we go back to past recessions, past depressions, usually we found that companies do absolutely everything they can to keep their employees on until the very last moment they can, sometimes struggling for years to keep everybody employed, only then to bankrupt the company and have nothing for anybody to come back to. What was done here in terms of strategy was very different. It was kind of saying, hey, let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can actually help these companies to survive under conditions that is very tough to survive in. And by doing so, we are going to put our employees, we're either going to furlough them or we are going to, consider them unemployed, so that they can then collect from some of the government programs, even though I know that's been a mess. I know it's been a mess. It is working at some level, but it has definitely been a challenge. But that's a little bit of the mindset here, kind of saying, hey, if we can do everything to keep these companies going for hopefully not too long of a time with very little income coming in, then these companies will be around when things get better. And a lot of these people, not all of these people, but a lot of these people will have a role to step back into. So I just wanted to remind us that that's the case. There's also some other good news that we're seeing with regards to unemployment. We actually saw that for the last few weeks, it's actually been declining in terms of the filings. That would lead us to believe that the actual amount of unemployment has peaked and that things are getting better. Of course, there's a lot of mixed messages in that. That's just one kind of strategy in terms of saying, with how we measure that less filings are happening, that could then infer that more companies are starting to say, hey, there is a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. And we've seen it. The 2 weeks that it peaked was the week of March 28th and the week of April 4th. Since then, it's actually been on a sizable decline, and that we're pretty close now to what we saw last week. April 25th was pretty close to what we saw the first week that we had the stay-at-home order put in place of March 21st. So that's also a little bit of bright news in terms of that. Some other interesting news about unemployment. Obviously, the experts are all looking back to past depressions, past recessions, trying to see how unemployment came back. And once again, this is where they're tracking that so much of that unemployment was such a gradual fall. And after a gradual fall, it was a very elongated rise back. Kind of the thought process here by some of our major thought leaders in the kind of the finance and these types of worlds are thinking this was an incredibly dramatic fall. Just like that. We've honestly, most of us in our lives will never see unemployment of this level. It hasn't been to this level since 1939, and even then, it didn't happen so quick. So, with that being said, what the economists, what the thought leaders are thinking is that it's going to be dramatic, it's going to be harsh. But that the recovery, it's not going to be instantaneous. It's not going to say all of a sudden things are better and we're back to where we were. It's not going to be that. But the thought process is that it's going to bounce back much quicker than we've seen in past crises. A lot of the people that we tap into, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, they're kind of anticipating, what I've been reading is that hopefully within a relatively short amount of time, maybe by the end of the year, we're closer to a 10% unemployment versus a 15 to 20. So to see kind of a nice step in the right direction. And then hopefully within about another year to two after that, then we're back to where we should be at a much more stable place. So it's not instantaneous. It's not everything's going to, flip the light switch and be better. But there is a lot of thought process and hope in the, I should say strategic hope, in the fact that the recovery will be dramatic, just like the fall has been. So, as I said, I just wanted to come on. I wanted to talk about that tonight because we are going to get slaughtered with headlines in the next few days. It is going to feel very, very scary. It is going to be very ugly, which it is an ugly scenario. My heart goes out to people that are struggling with these aspects. But I did want to remind us that there is a bigger picture. This is expected and this is planned. So, on that note, be kind to one another, be kind to yourself, take care of one another, take care of yourself, maybe remember to be responsible in your social distancing now more than ever. Feel gratitude towards the essential workers, those that are out there keeping our great city and our great country and our world moving along. I am thrilled to be a part of your journey in this. I am thrilled to be getting through this with you. We are one day closer to the end of it. And I will look forward to seeing you again very soon. Be well.